Hello. So you want a full head of hair because you're bald. I don't have a full horseshoe yet, but you can see signs of balding beginning to occur here around this standard male pattern baldness area. I don't know how bad it's going to be and how quickly. I'm 41 now. I think I started balding when I was about 25. Just slowly peeling back on these cowlicks. And I ended up with a peninsula of hair, which I shaved about 2 or 3 days ago. But just looking at the peninsula now, after all these years of wearing hair, I can now see that the dots are quite solid up here, but still thinning. And then down here, they're almost entire 1 centimeter squares of missing hair. Just there, there, and there. So this may be due to all the ripping of hairs I've been doing over the years with all the glue and everything, of hair pieces. So I could shave my head every day, or have a full length hair and try to do a comb over with that island. But I did that, that's how I started. And then I thought, okay, I've got this peninsula here, I'll just fluff it in curtains that way, right? Thinking, hope nobody notices, and I use gel and all sorts of things to try and cover the gaps. Side on, of course, everyone could simply see the gaps, and especially with hair gel and hair products and so on, it's very easy to see that somebody's trying to hide their baldness. And this hiding factor is deemed to be cowardly, and you should just shave it off, bro. That's the go-to phrase. So you can choose to be bald, right? But you're not going to get the sideburns. You could try to do the Jason Statham and just do like stubble all around wherever you got remaining hairs. So you see, I do have hair on my face or whatever. You could do what a lot of people do and just wear a hat whenever you go out, or a beanie. It gets a bit hot though. It's summer now, so it doesn't. I look like a ridiculous gumnut, and the paleness of my skin as well is just a difficult situation. So I decided long ago, 7 years ago, that I should try a toupee. I mean, they look terrible, right? They look unnatural and awful, but they've got to look better than this. At first I thought I'll just take any hair from around my body that I'll shave off and I'll stick it on. Can't be that hard, right? But it was. I wasn't able to glue hairs to my bald spots and have it look good. I thought there's got to be a way, there's got to be some way to get fly wire and just stick the hairs outwards instead of just pasting them sideways all over my head. Don't look good, right? So I realized this does exist, and they're called toupees, or hair pieces, or hair systems, or hair units. Here's one. This is French lace. This is netting, like I said, and what's happened is, amazingly, with the patience of a saint, some person in China has taken this Indian hair, I think, from, I guess, girls in India go and have really long hair and then they cut it and then they sell it, and there are enough of them that there's now a market of people sewing hairs into netting and tying a knot all over. I don't even want to count how many there are or how long that took. I just hope they're good at meditating, because that would take a while, right? So generally you buy a 3-pack. 1, 2, 3, right? I've got to stare at it because I bought 3 packs several times. And so what you do then is you don't want to buy just one, otherwise what are you going to do? It runs out or it gets damaged or something happens to it. Now you've got no hair to replace it with. So if you're just going to get started in buying a hairpiece for the very first time, expect to spend $1,000 it'll cost you less than that, but just anticipate that the first 6 months is going to cost you $1,000. Okay? You'll be wanting to buy at least a 3-pack, probably a 6-pack of hair pieces, even just to get started, and always keep that amount of spares forever. What am I signing myself up for? Shit, right? I would rather just shave my head and, admit to the world that I'm bald. Like, what's wrong with that? From my perspective, I find it embarrassing because I feel plain looking. The only hairs, if I shave my head and my face, would be my eyelashes and my eyebrows. I could try to fool everyone into thinking I'm hairy by growing a beard or something while I'm bald. And then every day I've got to shave it off, probably going to get cuts and things all over my head. It's a lot of effort to shave your head every single day. I mean, I'm sure there are just like buzz cutters that just fit in your hand and just do this. And then you just maybe want it if you want to do a clean shaving, if that's the look you want. It doesn't suit everybody to be bald. But then why would you choose, though, to be some kind of almost crazy person who wears a toupee? You're so fake, right? Fake. The reason I felt okay with it in the end was just seeing actors from movies looking much better going from being bald, even though, they have handsome faces. But the hair added a lot to their appearance. And why was a director deciding that this actor should be wearing hair throughout this movie instead of just being naturally bald? Why? There's something less James Bondy about Sean Connery after he went bald, don't you think? It suits people who are big, right? And then they kind of like, I'm tough now. Do you want to be tough? Do you want that to be your image forever? Because you're either tough, or you're fat and bald, or you're skinny and bald. It's just, I don't want to be like the tough dude all the time, like walking around like I'm bald, right? But strong, so it's okay. That's not the only option I want in terms of my identity when I look in the mirror and when I'm seen. So, I would say when you're choosing, think of cost, money. Wearing hair is more expensive than shaving your head. Okay, that's number one. But if you're bald right now, how often do you wear a hat because you don't like it? Okay, I don't like being bald at all. I don't like it. So I choose to wear a hairpiece. And you're considering it, obviously, aren't you? Or for your friend, or thinking, let's watch these freaks on YouTube so we can see what, nuts people look like. So, after you've bought the hair pieces, you'll need to buy a supply of glue. This is Walker Tape Ultra Hold. One bottle will last you maybe 3 months, maybe 2 months. And then just like some spray on alcohol and some C22 solvent to remove glue, and sort of more like emergency situations where you've got glue in your hair. Now, it's not just emergency situations if you choose lace. Now, here is the big deal that people who are in the know about hair discuss constantly. Here it is. Lace or poly? Lace is fly screen with hairs tied into it, and poly is plastic with hairs V-looped. They're not looped, they're just in there, and they're stuck, right? Stuck in there. They're all stuck in there, obviously. They do fall out eventually and so on, under certain circumstances. But the pro of lace is that it looks more realistic at the front hairline and along the perimeter where it joins your natural hair. But the pros of poly is that it just peels off when you're done, the glue. I mean, it just peels off and you're ready to go again, and it seems like it's going to almost be indestructible. Like, if you don't rip the hairs out of your head, it will just last for ages. Lace is very, very difficult to clean. Very, 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 I'm not going to even bother, right? You'd have to use C22 solvent or something similar, and then just use a toothbrush and just scrub the shit out of it. You'll be losing hairs while you do that. There are methods, sliding it on a mirror for some reason. It's just a ridiculous process. For the years that I wore lace, and I still might go back to lace because it's more realistic looking at the front hairline along the perimeter, so it can sort of look much more realistic, except for the fact that the glue shines out through the holes when it's a hot day or when you're under a lot of high intensity lighting. The glue will shine out through the hairs, so it doesn't look natural anymore. It only looks natural when it's cold. Whereas the poly hides the glue underneath. You can't see anything. Now the solidity of a poly front hairline where it touches your scalp means that there will be something called a wall of hair. Okay? And you don't want that. That's like you go from just natural looking face to boom, bonk, like John Travolta's bad, really bad hair pieces. It looks fake. So what you have to do is use peroxide to bleach the front roots of the poly unit where your hairline will be. So you bleach in around there. So once you've chopped up all your hair pieces using a stencil that you've made, stencil, you then put that bleach around the perimeter, around the front roots, about 1 centimeter deep, and it sort of just blends into darker hair. So if you're going from pale skin to dark hair, it's just too obvious to have a wall of hair. I'd say even if you're very dark tanned, it's still going to be a problem. You need that blending out a bit. So I'd say if you're black, dark enough past, I don't know, number categorizations for brownness and blackness levels of skin, but I'd say you'd want to be pretty dark before you just went straight to dark hair. And even if you're Asian, like you're expected to have really dark hair, with lace you wouldn't have to do what I just said, but the knots really need to be bleached properly. Because you don't want the wall of hair. It kills the hairpiece. It looks ridiculous, it looks old-fashioned, it looks ugly, you look like a doll, okay? So you have to make sure that transition from the forehead into the hairpiece looks realistic. That's everything we're hoping to achieve here. Not just realism, good looks. You want to be able to brush your hair in a nice way. because hair pieces don't respond like a lot of people's hair naturally does. My hair, as you can see, during this video, it's been drying a bit more. But what happens to my hair is it just buffs out like Ronald McDonald because it has no weight to it. After a certain length, it just goes. But the weight helps a bit, you know? And if you wear a hat for an hour or 20 minutes, then it'll sort of buff it a bit, right? But using hair product, you can sort of force it a little bit. Hair product, like muck. I love muck, okay? It's a clay that you just put through your hair and it sort of stays, but still you can still manipulate it a bit. And it's sort of greasy and not greasy, it's clayey, right? But it's not a stiff hold where you can't adjust it or anything, okay? So you can sort of fix your hair a bit like that afterwards. So how did I get from this to this using this? First of all, how did I get this? Why is this perfect for where I have shaved my scalp today? I mean, do I always shave it exactly the same each time? How do I do that? What, do I need some sort of laser measuring tool to make sure it's exact each time? What are the physics and what are the maths behind hairpiece technology? How do I get this? The answer is this. I got not something solid and that doesn't bend around the head, because these are geodesic lines. They will not be the same length. If I just mark there to there, go, okay, that's fine, let's cut that out. No. That's longer than that, because it has to bend, right? So there, that's straight, and then that's bent. So you know how that works in your brain. Like, if I elongate this, it's not going to be this wide, is it? No, it's going to be like this wide. Okay, so instead of using a hard object, I use a piece of string width, temple to temple, about 6 inches wide, from temple to temple. Probably the same on your head, about 6 inches. About that, I think. You should measure it though, but trust me. These things have some stretch to them, but not much. Don't expect too much stretchiness. But also you don't want to make it oversized, and then you've got to bunch it up to try to make it fit and squeeze it in towards the edges. If there is overhang, where the hairpiece is hanging over from your scalp over onto your natural, over the perimeter onto your natural hairs, you're going to probably have to readjust it or cut it while it's on your head, which is difficult. So you want to get the measurements here right. Use a piece of string, measure from there to there, find where the top nub, when you raise your eyebrows, of your forehead is. So that's the bottom of the top nub, and that's the top of the top nub. Now you might say nub isn't in the dictionary. Well, you see, the thing is, I don't speak English that well, so this is my like 15th language or something. After and shut up, because I don't know what's it is a nub. All right, so shut the fuck up. This is a nub, and on the top of that nub is where your natural hairline used to land when you were younger, before you started looking like this freaky monster that people don't care to look at anymore. I'm sorry. Okay, but you're just frightening people with that ghastly thing on your shoulders. So from there, the top of the nub, top of the top nub, to where your balding goes to, be honest, how far back does it go? Here's where my expertise run out, because I have not built a double mirror system in order that I can help you guys out with seeing the backs of your own head. If you do use another mirror and you don't have anywhere to suspend it, you're probably going to have to hold it in one hand for the rest of your life until you set up a camera with a screen or a secondary mirror system and give yourself the capability of shaving and gluing the back of your own head. I don't envy you for that. In this situation, if there's such a thing in your country as a hair clinic or barber or something, you might have to keep going back to them. However, there is one other solution, and that is tape. In addition to glues such as Ultra Hold, which I still think is easier and better to use with less drawbacks than Ghost Bond and the Ghost Bond range, there is tape which you can also stick to your hairpiece that comes off. Why don't I use that all the time? Because it doesn't seem as sticky as adhesive glue. It seems to last less long time. It's quite hard to apply without sticking on your thumb all the time and you rip the whole lot off and you can start again, right? And when you overlap the bits and pieces, there's a technique to the taping that takes longer and more effort than just gluing. So I don't recommend tape. Also, tape has got some thickness to it, so it's going to lift the hairpiece off your scalp a bit. But around the back of your head, it's the easiest option probably for you to do that. And misalignment and overlap and so on. I'm just trying to think. I've got a small hand mirror here. I would look in the small mirror so I get a bigger view of the back mirror so I can see the back of my own head. And then I would just try to tape it and try to shave. You would use a beard trimmer to begin with if you didn't have, and you've got to assume this is all balding here, right? Don't do it if you're not balding. What the fuck don't. People who are not balding, don't do any of this, okay? But if you're balding, at the back, you want to remove all the excess hairs which you prize. If your final hairs, what do you want to cut them off for? Don't do that to me, right? You have to, sorry. Even my peninsula, I had to shave it off. In the beginning, I was trying to put a triangle there and a triangle there, and the density of the thin hairs in the middle, which were totally balding, I was lying to myself, were much thinner than the thickness of the hairpiece that I had. So it even graduated down into airy hair, right? And baby hairs that were struggling to survive here. And then nice Indian woman's hair that somebody from China had sewn into a hairpiece. So, you've got to shave off the baby hairs. And I'm like I say, I'm sorry if you have to access all of this at the back and everything in the horseshoe fully. But in such a situation, it might be reasonable to go to if you've got some friend or wife or mother or somebody like that who can help you. You're going to get into fights though, it's just too much effort for them. It's better to pay, but then think it would cost you a lot more money. The whole thing would cost you a lot more money, okay? If you paid somebody to do it. So in my situation, there to there, there to there, that's a rectangle, width by height. So what I did was I just stuck that rectangle to my head. Crazy. And then I just kind of started scissoring away at it. It's still a bit too long and stuff, right? I still had some spares though, see? And then after I'd sort of made the hairpiece, making mistakes and cutting through hairs and incorrectly and stuff in my first go, because I was new, I eventually ended up with a piece that kind of fit into the area that I'd shaved, which was basically down to about there, whatever, right? Because I'd still thought, okay, well this area is okay and this is all good. But then I realized, no, the peaks, the tips of the peaks are coming right up here. So then I went, all right, fuck it. I shaved it back. But the thing for me is I can get I can cut 3 hair pieces that will fit me, leaf shaped ones for my size, out of a hair piece. If I shave back even more, I'm going to have to only get 2 hair pieces out of a hair piece. So anyone who wears a full hair piece from all the way from the top of their top forehead nub all the way to the back perimeter of where they shave, you're only probably going to get you will only get 1 hair piece out of a hair piece. So we've discussed poly, like plastic. This is 0.03 millimeters thick. That is still strong enough, right? But it's just, if I put it side by side with a piece of office paper, I'd say this is twice the thickness, I think, as a piece of office paper. But it's plastic. Could be the same thickness as office paper, but because it's plastic, it's sort of stronger than paper, right? And you have a shower and you're swimming with it and everything, right? You're surfing with it. So there's poly and there's lace. Now lace comes in realistically 2 flavors. French lace, which is coarse, more durable, and also allows you to have medium density, which is basically the same density as my natural hair, that medium density, and then medium light density, which has less hairs sewn into it. Okay, so there's French lace and there's Swiss lace, which is thinner, more fragile, and the maximum density you're going to get out of this one is medium light density. So that density there is thinner than my natural head density. But when you see it in the front hairline, it looks absolutely realistic. Until the sun shines, because the glue shines through it. Which is why people say, stop using the glue I've always been using. This very, very shiny glue that actually works. But it melts over 25 degrees or so. Visibly so when you're wearing lace. Under poly you can't see it. I should stop using that one and start using more Ghost Bond, which is less shiny with lace. So that the lace has the benefits of being really good looking compared to poly, despite the fact that I put that peroxide on the front of the hairline so it's not a wall of hair. Lace still wins in terms of appearance compared to poly. But the lace has glue shining through, and this glue is apparently less shiny, but I find it difficult to use. Ultra Hold is much easier to use than Ghost Bond. So, in terms of maintenance, ease of use, and every other advantage in terms of the pros outweighing the cons, my choices are poly as the hair base and Ultra Hold as the glue, for now, until a better glue is shown to me. This company, Walker Tape, have just released a new type of glue called Signature, which apparently is better. I haven't seen it, not available in Australia at this point in history, which is about the 9th or 10th of February 2019. So, you've got your stencil, you've roughed it out, you've used a better method than what I described with a piece of string and just trial and error. What in fact you did was you put Glad Wrap, what you should do is put cling wrap, wrap it around your head like this, then cover it in clear tape so you can still fully see everything. Like all your hair's fully brushed back everywhere along, right? And after you've shaved off the baby hairs probably as well, but you might not need to do that just yet, just in case, you know, this is going to take you a few days to process and decide, oh my God, am I really going to do this, right? So don't shave it off, just put gel in it or something so you can see everything really clearly, and then just take a marker. That, by the way, that taping of it will cause it to hold in a dome shape, which is the shape of your head. Unless you've got an antenna and stuff sticking out of your head, in which case you just wrap around those and just fucking do the tape extra as well. And so just whatever hairs line you want to go up to, just draw up around the antenna, etc. And then but you just draw around exactly using a mirror if you need to. As I said, look in the small mirror to see the big reflection properly, and then you can see better. And then you could just trace around where the tragedy has spread to. So that is the beginning. Then you'll be able to make a stencil. Then you'll be able to buy a hairpiece. Then you'll be able to cut it out. Which hairpiece did you buy? You bought a 6-pack of poly from lordhair.com for $699. But because it was your first purchase and you were logged in, you inserted the coupon code StickOnHair, StickOnHair, into the checkout box, and you got 20% off. So it was instead of $699 for 6-pack, it was $560 for 6 hair pieces, including express delivery. And then you spent the money on the glue, and then the alcohol spray. So you thought you'd just trial it, so why am I buying 6 hair pieces instead of just like 1 hair piece and then 1 glue and then 1 alcohol spray? Because there's no turning back after you've begun. That's why. You can shave your head completely after and then go, well, I'm just shaving my head, it's too hard. I won't do that for the rest of my life. But then you go back to bed and you lie down feeling your baldness, so you just lie there going, I'm bald, I'm bald, I'm bald. And your memory, all alone in the moonlight. And your mind is just going, I remember my reflection with hair, I was like, you're running through the fields with this long fucking streaming Priscilla Queen of the desert fucking hair flowing back a kilometre behind you, and everyone's happy, and like, you're the hero now because you got a full head of hair. And you'll go, fuck, I should do that again. Eventually you'll get back to that point and you go, I did it before, I can do it again. I don't want to be bald, I hate it, my reflection looks awful, I get no response, people talk over the top of me, etc. So, you don't want to be bald. I don't want to be bald, right? Leave the song, the theme song for your new life. So you've cut it out, your first ever piece. But now you've got to shave exactly the same shape as that stencil. It has to match. That has to match that. And that has to match the shave area. Use a beard trimmer to start with. It's very scary. I know. Very scary. Shaving off that peninsula was one of the scariest moments of my life. I was mugged at knife point. I jumped out of a plane and fucking bungee jumped. Fell off a motorbike. When I was in the car crash, we rolled several times and I nearly drowned in the ocean. That was one of the scariest things I've done, shaving that off. Even though I knew if this fucks up, all I have to do is shave my head and then it'll be back at 0. But this takes months to grow. This is currently six centimeters long at this point, which is about 2.5 inches kind of thing, right? 2 and a bit inches. That's got to be 5 months of from that to that. It's about 5, maybe 6 months. I don't know. It's a long time. Why isn't the rest of my hair this length? Because I had a haircut and I've left this long. Why did I leave this long? Because this is the perimeter. If your hair is going all the way down the back, you're probably going to flop it out from the hairpiece over your natural hair. But because I'm doing it here, I'm often brushing this flap of real hair to merge over and into the hairpiece hairs. So, you got a hairpiece, you're going to stick it on it. That's not cut, it's not going to be cut like that. It'll be about 5 inches long. All the hairs are going to be about 5 inches long. You've cut it out sensibly in such a way that the hair naturally wants to go over your hairline forwards, so you can have a brushed forwards look and always have that option of default covering the front hairline, which means you don't have to worry so much about the exactness of the hairline, which is difficult to maintain. The join along the perimeter is a lot easier because you're going to get it right the first couple of times and then you'll adjust it. In previous videos I've got it wrong, like side diagonal and then gaps here and stuff, because I fucked it up, and then I cut it out along here to try and compensate, when really I should just peeled it off and just done it again, because there's no reason this should not match this and this should not match this and this, right? So if you stick it on incorrectly, just peel it off and stick it back down. The glue will still be valid, like fresh, if you just glued it, right? So just take it off, maybe spray a bit more alcohol into the glue and just press it back down. It'll be the same as you didn't miss, okay? Now with lace, you simply must glue your scalp and then just place the hairpiece down with the aid of alcohol spray, except with water-based glues. So we've got Swiss lace, French lace. All other laces are fat laces, forget that shit, right? Or almost wig-like. You don't want durability over appearance, otherwise just buy a wig, okay? Hairpieces aren't wigs. They look real. Wigs sort of don't. The reason hairpieces look real is because you're incorporating your natural sideburns and all the other stuff into the hairpiece so that you're fooling people with it. A wig doesn't stick in, right? It's just like an elastic thing that you just wear like a hat. This is glued on, so you wear it for maybe 2 or 3 weeks and then you take it off. Is it still good? Yes it is. I'll just clean it a bit. I'll put it back on and just keep wearing it for maybe, say, 3 months and then throw it away. Or if it fucks up earlier, throw it away. Just be ready to spend money and get more replacements. I recommend when you go order hair pieces, you get stock pieces, which are just off the shelf and ready to be sent to you within 3 or 4 days express. Or you can custom hair pieces where you decide, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want the color matching. I'm going to send you a hair sample, match my hair color exactly, the exact amount of grays that I've got, etc. Right? Take too long. Just choose one of the 30 options of color from the stock pieces and be happy with it. This is medium dark brown. This is, I think, color number 4 on the chart of Lord Hair's hair colors, right? Medium dark brown. For a long time I was wearing just medium brown, which is color number 5. It was too light for me, but I wore it for years anyway, and it sort of blended in. Didn't matter that much, okay? But I'm happier now with this color, which matches me even better. Growing up I had red hair, now I've got some auburn and something got grey around the sides here. But this, the medium dark brown, matches it. It's fine, okay, for me. There's going to be probably a color on that chart that's going to match you as well, okay? So, I don't know about Afro hair, I've said that, I really don't know. They probably have it at lordhair.com, I'm not sure. You might have to go to a different hair place or just look around. I'm sure it exists. Doesn't seem like it's realistic that it wouldn't exist. I mean, even if they get a woman's wavy hair from India, they could probably do something to curl it to make it look like it's Afro, probably, without melting it or whatever. So I'm sure there's an option for people with Afro hair. So the most difficult thing is the scary thing at the beginning when you first ever start is shaving off the baby hairs and any hairs that are in the way. So you can just use one piece instead of two little triangles that look like ridiculous, okay? You're gonna fuck that up, okay? It's almost guaranteed. And your hairpiece isn't gonna fit and you have to wear a hat for the first few months, but it's better than nothing. You gotta wait for a bit of stubble line to grow back forward a little bit, right? Until now it fits better, thank God. Or you have to redo a stencil to match the mess you made. Or you didn't measure your stencil properly the first time. This will all happen. But I haven't dealt with it in 7 years because I did it right in the first few months. So it was done after that. And if my hair goes back further, I'll keep making new stencils. I did make a refresher stencil because I found this wasn't exact enough. The other one, the old one's here. I found this to be a little bit haphazard. So I redid it a bit. They sort of closely resemble one another. But the new one is totally symmetrical, but not quadro-symmetrical, whatever you call it. I can't flip it. I could have flipped it if, you see how this hairpiece on the front hairline there is completely rounded to match the curvature of it. I think it's called a C-shaped contour, and then double A is really steep, and then A is less steep, and then B is probably a bit less steep, and C is almost, when geodesic out, ends up to be kind of more like a straight line, which I prefer. People keep recommending I need to go a bit higher, get more of an A shape. These are just categories of contour. It's not the beginning of, now I need to read another book about contouring now. How fucking mathematical is this shit? No, it's alright. I don't know how deep it goes. Probably scientists working on it right now. I wish they'd fucking inject me with something and just sprout fucking hair like a grass hair doll. It doesn't work. Yeah, so I'm hungover. Sorry about the fucking tiredness looking. Now, this could have been totally symmetrical if I decided to only get 2 cuts out of a hairpiece, but because I want 3, I'd have to do that across there. And I'm not balding that much just there. I sort of am a bit. So I would probably benefit, if I didn't want to save money, by just shaving that extra bit off and turning it into a totally symmetrical piece, which would be great. Because if I wanted a brush back look more, the hairs on a hairpiece are kind of forged in a certain direction when they're laid in for some reason. I found it difficult over the years to try to brush them against the way they naturally seem to want to flow. Therefore, if I put this on my head that way, then I've got hair facing forwards, but then straight away I would have been able to flip it and just have a brush back kind of look, right? So if I had a bit more money, I would just get 2 hairpieces out of a hairpiece instead of 3 and make that quadro-symmetrical, or whatever the fuck it's called. If it's, symmetrical that way and that way. So it's flippable totally. Obviously not that way, because that would be like this, be like, got a very long monobrow or something. Doesn't look good. I could try to shave a circle. That would work. Okay, so what happens now is I'm going to do this to myself now. I'm going to use a headband to hold back my hairs. I'm going to get little one baby wipes. Baby wipes are awesome. I'm just going to use that under hot water. I was just going to shave my head directly after getting out of the hot shower when my pores were expanded. But I wanted to set up for this video. So I've let it go dry. So I've just got some hot water on that towel there. I'm just heating it up. So the pores expand a bit. There's a bit of shaving cream on here. Otherwise known as Herbalescence's Bio Renew. It's hard to read backwards. Argan Oil of Morocco conditioner, hair conditioner. I'm going to put this under hot water and then shave my, what we call baby hairs off. Not really a great term for them. We're just going to clear up the shave zone, the piece zone, and get it ready. Because the glue doesn't want to really stick that much to stubble or oil. And I will talk a little bit about sweating. Sweating is your enemy. Okay, so basically, don't get hot. If you're in a hot climate, hot bathroom, you're going to be applying glue to sweat. That's not going to happen. Don't do it. It's not going to work. You're probably going to want to have a fan if you have a very hot bathroom, blowing cold air directly at your scalp. Over time, you'll be shaving up and in and making dents and stuff and not shaving accurately when you do that, okay? So expect there to be little gaps and things that you've made because you should have just shaved along there and left that bit not shaved. Like, I feel like I've just done that. Like, it's seemingly round and then gunk. That's what seems to be happening. I'm expecting until I let that grow back and stop shaving that stubble off instead of letting it grow back. And I have a gap there, which is wrong. Don't want that. Now, I'm going to just wipe any stubble and hair conditioner off. Hair conditioner and air conditioner, I didn't realize. So, after I have the hair conditioner wiped off, I'll go on the air conditioner to pull my head down and rest my eyes for a bit. Because I would have liked to have done this whole thing in just one take, but I'm just feeling very hungover. I want to drink. The other thing, okay, I'll tell you what. The reason I'll have a chance to edit is because I'll just put some glue on my head. I'm not that hot in this room anymore. I was earlier, but I don't feel that hot at the moment. Okay? If you're sweating, it's not going to work. Okay, so I've done that. I've shaved it. It's clean. I've just had a shower. I'm going to use alcohol spray, which you buy for about $4 a bottle from eBay. Yes, it's for keyboards and whatever you want. It's fucking alcohol in a bottle. What do you want? It doesn't matter what it's for in the advertising. It's the stuff. So that was placed there to, I guess, close the pores or clean a bit better than normal and stuff. Make my head really clean. Then, unfortunately, the packaging on this company's glue only allows the brush which is inside to come down to there after you've taken the lid off. Which means the glue resting at the bottom here can't be accessed properly by the brush because it can't get any deeper than that when you're dipping it in, see? So all that glue at the bottom has to be tilted sideways, and I'm down to that point now. So, wish me luck. I'm going to have to turn the bottle sideways and scoop it out like this because of the lack of forethought of the company. Still manufactures it to this day in the same way they've always done. I would probably recommend, this is the best size, 1.4 fluid ounces of ultra hold to buy. The big one might be better. I haven't tried it, but they don't ship flammable liquids overseas in those sort of quantities. They don't even ship this quantity anymore. The plane could blow up or something. So buy it from eBay and stuff like that. So I was going to tell you before that that's a water-based glue, which means you can't wet your hair at all for like 24 hours after you put it on. And this is an acrylic glue, which some people say, well, probably gives you cancer or something. I use it all the time. And it's made for hair. I don't know what FDA approved is, but I assume it's whatever that means. Now, up the back here, you're going to risk getting little hairs stuck in the glue, deflacing down. You're better off just, if they fall in, just let them be glued in and then either leave them there forever or pluck them out after the glue dries instead of trying to make a mess by removing it while the glue is wet. How long does it take for this glue to dry? It takes 15 minutes. So, how do I know where to glue here? Why am I knowing exactly the point at which to glue? That's just becoming ridiculous how much hair is falling in there right now. It's my own fault. Okay. I'm going to have to pull out the glue out of those hairs. There's a bit of a mess problem later now. Because my hair is not wet. If it was wet, this wouldn't be happening. I should have wet my hair prior to doing this. Just wetting hair just makes everything get out of the way. But even when you make little mistakes like doing things like not wetting your hair, and it doesn't stop you from getting the job done. Just keep going, don't worry. Okay, so how do I know exactly how far down to go? I'm trying to be conservative and not glue past certain points. Like, I'm definitely not going to place glue past the top of the top nub of my forehead, but that's where the glue should end up landing, right? But I'll tell you why I'm not going to glue all the way down to there in the first glue down. It's because I want the poly hairpiece to land exactly where the glue will be. And the best way to achieve that is to glue directly onto the poly itself for the final front area, so that it perfectly lands on its own glue. Because how can it not? Because it's been glued itself, and then you're just pressing it down like it's like tape, sticky tape. So it'll be exact every time. So this back section here is just easier than putting glue on the back of the entire poly. One, because trying to hold the poly still on a table while gluing it is hard without getting glue in the hairs around the edges. And we'll have to deal with having to not get glue in the hairs when I do that in a second. And secondly, if you cover it in glue, then you've got to spray it with alcohol, then you've got to smush it around to get it into position, and while you've jiggled it, it's created all this glue around your hair, around the front forehead area and stuff. So you glue down the top half of your scalp first, like I'm doing, and then put the hairpiece down so it's locked into position, then just glue along the front hairline and just wait for that to dry and push it down. How thick should this glue be? Not this thick. I fucked it up. Like, no, I'm not really fucking it up. This glue bottle is getting a bit old now, so it's starting to coagulate and create chunks. So wherever these thick chunks are, they're going to take longer to dry. I can't even get rid of it. So if that was how the glue came out of the bottle straight away, instead of me just letting it rest on my head and letting it sort of coagulate in the air, I would just throw that bottle out immediately and open a new bottle. And I'm at the point with 5 bottles left that I might think about going online and getting some more scent. But it doesn't behave like that when I first take it out of the bottle. There's still fluidity to it. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so it was drying on my scalp while I was talking too much. So I'm going to get this glue off my thumb. More baby wipes, they're very, very useful for getting glue off things. Tissues will not work. Toilet paper will not work. It will stick, break, and become messy. Baby wipes do not break. They're perfect. They are the angel fucking gift from heaven. Just get glue off with this, okay? This stuff is made to dissolve glue, so if you really get stuck, you can use that, spray that stuff on, and it'll just dissolve the glue, making a big mess, and that's difficult to clean as well. That's oily, and it's almost like we had a problem with cane beetles in Australia eating all the crops of sugar cane. So they imported a cane toad, which is now just ravaging the country. It's poisonous, so any animals who eat them die. Okay? So they're just everywhere. I am a vegetarian and I don't want to hurt animals. But when you drive up to Queensland, the road is just covered in cane toads. Alive and dead alike, just sitting on the fucking road. Probably eating their dead brothers and sisters who have been squished by cars. And I'm just honking the horn. I'm in the middle of nowhere. There's no one else around. There's lots of sugar. If I want to go out and crack a sugar cane and eat it, I can. Right? I'll steal sugar. No one's going to care. There's thousands of hectares of fucking sugar cane. And thousands of hectares of fucking cane toad. And they love the road because that's where all the brothers and sisters are. And I think they're eating them. And I think they're immune to the poison of it though. So I just have to drive over, pop, 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 pop. A hind leg, an eyeball, fucking squishing the side of their guts out and they're still alive, just squirming around. I know, it's disgusting. I'm a fucking torturer of animals. It feels awful doing it, driving over all those frogs. They're not frogs, they're toads. They're not in Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne, south, near Antarctica. It's hot weather now though. So 15 minutes after I put this on, apart from that chunky bit, which I could remove, but fuck it, I'll leave it there, right? But I don't want to make a more mess, just bang my fingers. In 15 minutes, I will come back, I will spray alcohol on to this poly and squiggle this around and pray to Jesus, the Lord and Saviour, God bless his name. Alright? No, I don't believe in him. I mean, he's probably there somewhere, buried. Okay? I mean, he could be in heaven, I don't know. But neither do you. And neither does a fucking priest who's just a man with a fucking thing. Right? He doesn't know the answer. Nobody does. And some old book fucking definitely doesn't. Written by cavemen. Okay? So, wait for this to dry, I'm going to push it down. It'll be finished. And then, of course, because this is 5 inches long, I'm going to cut the hairs themselves. So it suits my head. We're just coming up to an hour. This could be a 1.5 hour or so video altogether. Okay, so it's been 15 minutes. I am pressing on this and just testing out if it's dry. And what I mean when I say dry is that it's not coming up like mozzarella cheese. It's tacky. Right? Don't touch it too much, otherwise you'll ruin the glue. Hold. So, something you should know if you're going to get into this is don't be hot when you're doing it. And the other thing is, throughout the time you're wearing the hairpiece, if it's a summertime, you will sweat underneath the hairpiece. You'll sweat less under lace, but you'll still sweat. And you'll sweat, especially with poly, which is like a seal, prohibiting heat from escaping. There are things such as no sweat, which is, you could put down before you put the glue over the top of it. I found it to be practically useless. and its associated competitors useless as well. So I have wet these hairs so that when I place this down, I'll be able to see through and try to line this up a bit better. It would be nice to have a big mirror, up there so I can fully see everything nicely, or a camera setup or something light, but I don't have that. So I just kind of go by feel and just peeling it aside and then pushing it back down again. But first I'm just going to clear up these little hairs that are stuck in here that I glued in. Let me get rid of those. So I'm going to take alcohol spray. I'm just going to spray it onto there. Just kind of loosens the glue up, melts it for a few seconds, for 30 seconds. That's how long alcohol melts the glue for, and then it re-solidifies. So I'm just going to just brush those hairs out. Sometimes at this stage, those hairs were blocking the scalp, and you've got to re-glue a patch there. It's happened hundreds of times probably to me, scores of times at least. It's a blue in the hair that I accidentally painted on there. Incidentally, this is where Ultra Hold excels over the Ghost Bond glue. It's much easier to just remove Ultra Hold from hair. That other glue, Ghost Bond, just turns into crumbs and just falls all over the place. Plus the added disability of being able to work at all if you're sweating in the first 24 hours or have a shower or go for a swim or any other thing. Whereas the Ultra Hold, you could just have a shower immediately after putting on a hairpiece, or go for a swim immediately. Heat is the enemy of definitely this glue, but I'm not sure about this glue, how bad it is affected by heat. I've never given it a really good shot. Incidentally, this is the supreme version of Ghost Bond. There are also XL and Standard and a couple of others, I think. A little family of different types of Ghost Bond. The V-loop system, which is just basically poly is stitched in like that, and then the plastic is hardened over the tip of the V. So each hair is really long, it's double that length. That's how long the hair is. So a 5-inch hair is actually 10 inches. That's folded in and glued at the center point there. They're V-loops. Lace uses knots. So someone's gone in, tied the knot into each fly wire hole so that there's lots of knots along there. Why aren't the knots here black dead ends? Because these things, because the dark hairs have been tied in a knot. Because the company bleaches the bottom of the hairpiece so it's clear, otherwise you can see somebody's scalp that's just got black, big black fat dots, because knots are quite large, right? And if you ever have unbleached knots, you'll know about it. It is hideous. The hair company sells hair that's dyed with clothing dye, like hairs that are dyed with clothing dye, which is a cheap way to do it, and some hair companies do that. It's very naughty of them. Then you really can't bleach out those bad knots, those unbleached knots. It can lead to delays and massive embarrassment. So always make sure they're fully properly bleached from the company before they're sent to you. Otherwise, if they have done the right thing and used hair dye instead of clothing dye to make the units the colour of your hair, you can try to fix it yourself by just turning it upside down and painting on the stuff, leaving it there for about 45 minutes. So it gets rid of any black dots. But if you've paid for the knots to be bleached and you do have the time and the spare hair to not have no hair while you're waiting for that company to fix the problem, because you have to mail it back to them and then wait for them to mail it back to you after they've fixed it. A lot of time spent on that. If the company does that to you, that's a bad company, don't use them again. Or you can even boycott them immediately. If they send you hair that, like lace, that has unbleached knots, don't use that company again. But you'll find that lace hairpieces often don't have properly bleached knots with every company. They have failed to do it. You might think, well, why don't they use blonde hair and then just bleach the tops of the hairs the colour that you want over the top of the blonde? The reason is they get Indian hair, which is cheap, not European hair, which is expensive, because how much is an Indian going to ask for in comparison to somebody from Scandinavia? Who are rich countries. They'll ask for more money to compensate them for their beautiful hair, whereas an Indian person who's probably really wanting any money they can get and probably get paid fairly well, not by Western standards, but by the cost of food and everything they can buy with the money that they can get from the sale of their hair, they can sell it cheaper, and this industry can now exist. If India succeeds and becomes a rich country, I still think there'll be people selling hair. It might mean though that people who wear hair are going to have to start paying more money for them. But luckily, it's not that expensive now as it stands. Like I said, you get 6 hair pieces for $699 or $560 with my coupon code StickOnHair from lordhair.com. So that should be 6 hair pieces. That should be, let's say, 3 months per hair piece. That's a year and a half worth of hair for $520 if you don't fuck it up. For me, it's probably more, but I go through them a lot because it's a YouTube channel. So while I've been talking, this has dried out a bit too much and it'll be harder for me to see through the hairs, and also there's a risk that little hairs that are dried now will fall in the path of the glue. So that's the whole thing underneath running water. Flick it off. Just scrunch it, it's not that fragile. Okay? So now the hairs are wet enough that they're not going to fall in, and the back's dry, and I can see through the hairs when I put it on. But also what I should do now is also brush it towards the direction that I want it to go. So I wanted to brush it towards the front hairline because I'm going to be applying it from the back to the front. So I'm going to get a hairbrush, put this on my knee, and prepare the hairpiece by brushing it. So now I've made it clear and ready where the perimeter is going to be glued on. They're the temples, and that's the back, and that's my hairline. So first of all, I'm just going to spray some alcohol on here, and on here, a little bit. This will give me 30 seconds before it dries again to slide it into where I think it should land. Now I've grabbed a hold of these 2 temple edges in the hope that this time, the first time ever, I'll get it right. Okay, so I'm going to try and line that up there. Using the comb as a tool to get hairs out of the way, but also I should probably have this one as well. Visibility is very dodgy. I'm going to try and line it up there, so I can't obviously see around to the perimeter. Just got to guess a bit. And I don't want a gap. Definitely don't want a gap. You should favour an overhang, but you should not really have an overhang. But and also I want to make sure that this side doesn't hang lower than the other side or anything like that. So it's going to be hard to test that. But because I make this mistake so often, I'm going to do a proper peel back sort of test before I pile it back down. Okay, so I've got a gap there, I can see that now. Lift this up a bit. It's already dried, so it hasn't fully set or anything, but it's some time. You don't have a completely straight line of hair in the same way you have a straight line of plastic, so it's not going to meld in invisibly. With lace, you can almost achieve that invisibility. With poly, the plastic is too perfect. So you're going to get a straight line against the jagged edges of a natural hair perimeter. Just looking at that, it feels like there's a gap there. I'm not quite certain, because the most you can achieve is that's dead up against it. That's an overhang, and that is a gap. You don't want that gap, or you don't want the overhang. When you brush the hair, it will, I just need some more, I wish I had more. There's no way, even with the second mirror here, for me to see the top of my own head in any way. I need a mirror. And the camera, really. Camera there, screen there, that's what I need. Okay, so I feel like there's a gap. So this time, I'm just going to peel it back, trying to just stretch it. And just really try to get that perfect. Okay, so even though I might have lined it up correctly, so that there are no gaps or minimal overhang, expected plus or minus of 1 millimeter discrepancy. 1 millimeter is probably too much, but favour the overhang a little bit. You really don't want a gap. But then again, an overhang of poly is quite visible as well, because plastic can be seen over the top of your natural hair. The poly merges in with your skin okay, because it's the same colour sort of thing. Or it's clear, so it should match any skin colour. I think you still can buy different poly bases if you want to get a custom order. Like you can get darker brown or beigeier kind of looking plastics if you want. Same with lace. Just get the stock, don't worry, it's fine. It should work on any hair skin colour. There's overhang over here, which may indicate that I've pushed the whole hairpiece too far over that way. And now inspecting over this side, it's hard to really tell, but I don't want a gap over here. It's happened too many times. This is where, putting a hairpiece on is much easier with somebody else doing it for you, obviously. So hopefully, if you really can't be bothered ever doing this, it's only once every 3 weeks you've got to do it. Aside from maybe once a week, doing some hairline maintenance. If any glutes become unstuck there. So I want to make sure this is down low enough. So the top of my top nub, I'll mark it with this comb. It's hard to see in this lighting, but it seems like that's my top nub there. And so my hairline should land there. I'm indenting it for you, see. Okay. Where is it actually landing? It's landing too high, see? It's landing too high. So I'm gonna give myself a bit more slack from up here and see if I can just stretch it down a bit. It seems, no, that's asking too much. Maybe I'm Maybe that dotted line where I've made the comb indent is lower than it needs to be. Maybe it can afford to be just a little bit higher, but I'd rather not go too high above where it should land. It sometimes indicates that you've pasted an overhang up here, but that feels seamless. There's no, well, there is a bit there, but here it's perfect. Just running my finger in there. I don't feel like I can feel any scalp, and I don't feel like I can feel any overhang either, which is good. And over here, I don't know, there's some sort of bump there, that's not good. There. As you can see, everything's quite drying pretty quickly around here. This is water at a bottle. Oh, sorry. And we'll just use alcohol. Just temporarily melt any glue out of the way, so just get this whole lot out of here. Make sure it's all cleaned out. How many times can you spray alcohol into glue and just let it reset? I don't know, it seems like infinite. It seems like you always just spray more alcohol on and just it'll dry back as normal without any degradation. In fact, it seems like it's renewed. The strength of the glue is back to 100% after you put a bit of alcohol in it. So, alcohol and glue go hand in hand at all times, just leave them next to each other. They're the same, they're part of their team. So I'm just going to really try to make sure that's accurate there on that side. So there's the join along the back perimeter, back and sides perimeter, and then there's the hairline, which is the other bit. Now, even though I might have lined this up correctly along the join, along the perimeter, I may have done that while still angling the hairpiece so that it lands like a beret sideways diagonally on my forehead. It's hard to really gauge that until you finish the job. I'm going to try though and just double check. I mean, if it's wrong, I'm going to see how wrong. If it's below a certain threshold, I'm not going to touch because I can't bother doing all that again, which is often the reason I make do with the shortcomings of my aim. So what I want is for this to land low enough and to be straight and not be a giant like recession that's way too high, and not going over my forehead too much and not going up there too high and down low over here, which often, nearly every single flipping time that happens, right? Because I haven't really devised or bothered to devise a system that would guarantee its proper landing position. Especially because I haven't got visibility up here. So a camera up there with a screen down there would really help me, I think. Maybe I should set that up. Okay, so I'm going to trust that will be kind of good enough. There may be the necessity to stretch down a bit more. So I'm just going to brush this back, put the hairband to hold this back, and then glue the poly hairline. Always a bad sign that's overhang there. I was unable to fix it. Often means there's underhang here that I can't detect yet. I don't want to lift the whole thing up and move it over 1 centimeter and then drop it. That's too much. If worst comes to worst, I'll cut that bit. Because, you know, sometimes you might have cut the hairpiece out with your scissors because you've got human error with the cutting as well. And the tracing. The tracing is usually exactly the same every time because it's around the stencil right up against the edge. Can't see any room for error there, but cutting inside that marker line leads to imperfections. And then it means it won't be exactly the right, same size every time. So, Walker tape ultra high hold glue. right to the edge without getting any. I always do get a bit, but try not to get any glue in the hairs, because it usually means you're going to be probably, just to save time, ripping those front hairs out, which is the beginning of the degradation of your hairpiece, like pulling hairs out of it, right? So we want to avoid doing. I said this would be a 90-minute video. It will be longer, and you can already see how long it is, so there's no more point in me even saying how long the video is going to be in advance, because you're in the future and I'm in the past, so you know more than me. At the running time, at least. Okay, so doing this by yourself instead of using a hairdresser or somebody to do it for you is something you just have to decide for yourself based on how much money you got. And is this whole thing a pain in the ass? Do you want to do it at all? I can tell you right now, I'm not the only person who does this. There are lots of people who wear hair. I'm just trying to get this chunk out before it becomes a problem. There was a bit of a dried chunk still left on the brush from that earlier chunk that I pulled out of the glue that had already dried on my scalp from earlier, so I just got rid of it. So it seems to be back. The new chunk. Chunk 2, the second chunk. And chunk 3, Chunk's Revenge. Wasn't there a kid in Goonies, the fat kid, when he called Chunk? There was a kid with the teeth grappling, the chattering teeth grappling hook. He saves them from the spikes. If you don't know Goonies, you won't understand any jokes I ever say. Because you're too young or stupid or international or something. You've been deprived, you've been fucking eating fucking weird food because you're from some crazy country that still has strange traditions. Every country has different traditions. I mean, we eat Vegemite in Australia, which most people puke when they smell it. They don't know how to eat it. It's not Nutella. You don't spread it like chocolate. It's a salt kind of yeast extract. Doesn't sound great, does it? Made from plants. So, but the thing is, I don't know that if you found a jar of Vegemite that was 100 years old, it would taste any different from a jar of Vegemite that was brand new. It's indestructible, probably. It's almost not even food. It's almost like salt paste. It's like you might as well just take margarine, which probably gives you cancer, right? Put it on toast, and then just sprinkle salt on it. It'd be a similar kind of taste to Vegemite. So that's my confession, but we have Tim Tams, so win-win. No, there are countries with much better food than Australia. I do not for a second say that Australia's the best. Like, if you like delicious, fucking high fat, high sugar, high salt, absolute deliciousness, go to America. I love their fucking nachos and all those delicious things. They're gonna, like, pancakes for breakfast. Amazing. But in Belgium they ate waffles for breakfast, so similar kind of thing, right? And chocolate pain, chocolate in bread. That's like the thing about Europe is bread. Like this type of bread, baguette. Do you want this bread? Do you want this bread? It's like it's all bread. You go to Italy. Do you want this type of pasta? This type of pasta. It's like this. Is there a difference in the taste or any ingredients? No, it's just different shapes. Okay, just choose a shape that for me. I don't mind. Long squiggly worms. deal with the flat worm, deal with the half worm, deal with the flat worm, deal with the worm in the middle, the hole in the middle. Like spaghetti, fettuccine, all these different, it's amazing. So many words for stuff that's basically all the same. In Mexico, I'm sure they've got a whole lot of words for corn-based crunchy things, which are delicious. I reckon Mexico would be up there with the best food in the world. Mexican food is my favorite food. But I think it's Americanized. It's just all the beans and salsa and sour cream, and that's not good for the animals though. Guacamole is awesome. There's so many different ways to make it. I'm always curious to taste a new flavor. Good guacamole makers chop things up and put it in. I just take a jar of salsa, which already, as far as I'm concerned, has stuff chopped up in it. You buy the salsa, you pull it off, pour it into the munched up avocados, stir it up. Good enough, right? Somebody went to a lot of trouble to chop up all the stuff that went into that salsa. Now I've just gone, all right, their work's been done for me. That's enough. But sometimes people go, no, you need butter sauce, salt and pepper, get a bit of onion, chop it up, so it's sort of not cooked, it's just crunchy. Yeah, so there are some really good spicy guacamoles that exist. Guacamole, crunchy corn chips, it's amazing, love it. But if you're going to be vain, you got to watch your weight, don't get chubby cheeks like me, and most of all, move. If you're going to eat lots, you're going to drink a lot of alcohol and stuff, just do that, but move. Don't sit at home watching television all day or sitting at a desk all day. Just move, walk around the oval, go and see the dogs in the park, just pat them, look at the shapes of the clouds and let them remind you of different landmarks from around the world or something. Or dream what you want to be when you grow up. Remember the forgotten dead. Pray to Jesus on the cross, or Zeus, or Buddha, or somebody. And after you've gone for a walk, maybe listen to an audiobook or something. Audiobooks are awesome. Podcasts as well, obviously. Good way to walk without being bored. And if you can, run. I've got a prolapse disc, sorry. Dangerous for me to run, fortunately. I used to run it everywhere. Jumped off too many buildings, carried too much heavy shit. That's fucked. So, aside from this hangover, I look a little bit better than a total baldy, and you can see that it's going to look pretty good, right? We're going to wait for 15 minutes for this to dry. Hopefully I've glued all the way to the edges. There are chunks there. Should probably de-lumpify that, de-chunk that, just by spreading it out a bit more. No need to wipe it off, hopefully. So just spread it out so it'll dry quicker. And yeah, it seems it's shiny all the way around to the front edge, because you don't want bits at the very front edge to be not having glue on them. Just getting out the final bits of glue from this bottle now. It seems like the final bits, there's probably still a bit at the bottom that the brush just can't reach it. You don't want chunks along that front edge, that's for sure. But I think I've been very successful in not getting any glue in any of the hairs either. This would be very difficult to achieve, this level of accuracy, if you're applying the glue with your finger. And you would never apply this glue with your finger, whereas this glue is kind of designed to be using your finger. I still think a brush gives you more accuracy. You should use a brush. Buy brushes, I don't know where to buy them from. Find some. If you find good brushes that are made for glue, let me know. So I'll be back in about 15 minutes or whatever after I've eaten some corn chips, salsa and stuff. So I've waited 15 minutes for the hair on this poly 0.03 millimeter poly thin skin hairpiece to dry. Why did I wait? Why did I just press it down? It's just plastic, it'll just all dry anyway later, right? Well, the thing is, I'm going to brush it back immediately and then cut my hair. So if it was wet, and it would just peel back up when I brushed it back. But because it's going to be tacky, no, it's still not dry. Okay. Alright, I shouldn't have done that. Okay, so not ready, but I reckon that'll take another maybe 10 minutes. So I said 15 minutes, but you can't really control the thickness. Also, this is starting to dry out, and it's just coming to the last dregs. It doesn't get thick and less usable at this point. By the way, that is still quite full, but it feels like it's empty every time you use it at this point because they've made the brush too short for the bottle. So I can't really control the thickness of the glue, and it seems like it dries a bit slower because I've been watching a documentary with William Shatner about well, the connection really between Star Trek and real space science. It's good, I like watching that. I like the way he talks with the delays in the middle of his sentences. So this is 0.03mm poly, number 5, medium dark brown. Not the same colour as anyone would take a sample of my hair and say that's what that colour is, no. My hair changes colour in summer and winter, naturally, because the sun affects hair. It changes colour on the temples, where the beard becomes bright orange almost, or dark red or something like that. Different places, different colours throughout the beard. Starting to go grey around the sides and so on. Up here, generally not very grey. And so, when I've got this bleached blonde right at the front there, so that it's not a wall of hair, which I explained, I did that on all my hair pieces, so they're ready to go. That's a different colour from the medium dark brown, because it's getting almost to the point of absolute, well, very light brown, if not blonde right there. So, when you just get a stock piece, which is just going to be 3 days usually to get delivered to your house, express, from lordhair.com, for example, from stock, off-the-shelf hairpiece. It's just easier. Just pick a colour, guess. Look at the pictures. It's not gonna, obviously, a screen and a photograph is not going to match exactly with the reality of your reflection under different lighting conditions in different mirrors. Like your hair will look a different colour in this mirror with this nice light that I've bought from eBay and erected up over the mirror. That light there, I think it was about $35, and I had to wire it up and just plug it in using an old power cord. Also, this mirror is much better than the old mirrors that I had there before, right? So you'll need a decent mirror setup, and you'll learn to know that mirrors work because light is reflecting off the subject. So you'll find a lot of people fail with mirrors throughout the world. They'll just have a light source behind your head back up there where you're trying to see your reflection. So all you can see is a silhouette and shadows of your eyebrows over your eyes, and it's awful. I think a lot of stupidity has made the world a much worse place than it could be. People just cutting corners because they're just foolish and they're in charge. But that's what we have to deal with at this point in history. So why not just press it down and then just brush it back when it's hold enough at this point? Probably. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking, why wait for it to dry? It's probably dry enough that it'll stay mostly. I just feel more confident if it's absolutely ready and then press it down. So it can't shift. You know, the hairbrush is going to want to move it. It'll want to peel up at the edges and stuff as well. Why not get a hair transplant? I don't trust the technology yet. I don't really trust that it's good enough. So, I think this is the best solution given the technology we have. And the price is good too. So if you take the $560 that it costs for the 6 hair pieces with coupon code StickOnHair from lordhair.com, you get the 6 poly hairpiece pack. Then divide 560 by 6, which is under $100 each, alright, for a hairpiece, which should last you about 3 months each. So say it's $90 or something. So let's just say 90 divided by 3 equals 30. So it's about $30 a month for a hairpiece. And then you pay for glue and stuff. I don't remember exactly how much the glue is. It could be like $40 a bottle. Maybe, can't remember. And the alcohol is just like $5. So let's just say one bottle will give you 2 hairpieces. Let's just say that's a pretty conservative estimate. We might need like, I don't know. You need to do touch-ups and things as well occasionally, say once a week, for example, alright? Let's say once a week you want to do a hairline touch-up, 3 weeks you take it off, clean, shave your scalp, get rid of any sweat, clean the hairpiece, re-glue it all and put it back down. The hairpiece is still good. You do that every 3 weeks, and after 3 months the hairpiece is degraded a little bit. Maybe you've looked after it and you can keep going, but 3 months is probably used by date. Chuck that out, get a new hairpiece. They're the time limits on things. So 1 week for touch-ups on the hairline, or every day if you're fucking around with it too much. And yeah, every 3 weeks you take it off and replace it, the same hairpiece, and then after 3 months you throw it away and get a new hairpiece. That's how long they last for. How long does the hairpiece last for? 3 months is the answer. If you're using lace and the clean up and everything, I just use them once and threw them out each time. Or put them in a bag if they were resalvageable, and one day I'll figure out a way to clean all of them together one time. But I'm so glad I moved to lace. You just peel it off with your thumb or the glue, wash it under the sink with a bit of soap and shampoo, conditioner, whatever, and then it's sort of ready to go straight away, like it's brand new. As long as you haven't pulled any hairs out, the poly really is the answer. I find it much, much, much easier than lace, and I highly recommend you get a 6-pack, $560. From lordhair.com, coupon code StickOnHair at the checkout. You must be logged in, you can never have used it before, okay? You can only use the coupon code once. So buy in bulk, maximum discount. You can't just buy one hairpiece. Never buy one hairpiece, that's fucking stupid. I mean, if it's a stock hairpiece, you know, and you're not getting a deal on 2, then, well, you haven't got enough money for 2, you've only got enough, I mean, the last dollars you've got, I don't want to go bald, I'd rather have hair and not have food. Fine, just buy 1, but there's no other situation where you buy 1 hairpiece. Always buy 6. You'd be an idiot not to, okay? I mean, your first time ever, you think, why am I going to invest all that money? I just want to test it out. You can't just test it out, it's a life decision. Yes, you can test it out, and if you fuck it up, you can shave your head and then be done with it. But then, like I said, you're going to have those memory dreams, or you're going to run around with the hair dreams, and you're going to want it back. Okay, you're just going to want it back. And it's not like you can't just leave this stuff in a drawer for months and years maybe, and just go, all right, I'll try it out now. You probably can. I don't think it would really degrade that much over years sitting in a box. It'd be probably okay, it's probably fine. So, if you don't use it immediately, you can just leave it in storage and then go, oh, I've still got that stuff, cool, I'll use it. Just don't leave the bottle undone, otherwise it'll dry out. Even if it's ajar slightly, after it's been opened, it'll probably dry out internally. From even air that was once in there, it's just eaten away at it and hardened the glue. And then you need some more glue. And the unopened ones, I doubt they'll just dry out. If they're never opened, they'll probably stay perfect. Okay, so you can just leave everything in storage if you don't use it. So keep stuff stocked, ready to go. Keep all your stuff hidden as well. Don't leave your old hairpiece, right, lying around for people to see. It's embarrassing. If you use tampon or something. One chip's good. I reckon that's dry enough. Even though it's not completely dry. It's mostly dry. Okay, there's a bit of chunk there. I'm just going to put it down. remove the hairband. Stick my fingers in there and just grab it. I don't really want to touch the glue because otherwise it sticks to your thumbs. Just go start there in the middle there, not stretching it out. I don't want it to create ripples. And just do the rest like that as well. And then press it in. Spray some water. So I'm going to brush towards the perimeters of the hair, front hairline, brush it down and in. Some people say you've got to put a towel over your head and pull down on the towel evenly. I've never really found that to be vital. Maybe I don't know how to do it properly. But it doesn't seem to be something I ever need to do. Just brush it down like this. Does your scalp get itchy? Not more than the rest of your scalp. I'll scratch there just as often as I'll scratch there, unless I've got an abrasion that I've caused from fucking probably usually rubbing a baby wipe too hard on the scalp. But usually that's the main reason I get any kind of abrasions. Right. I don't really think I've had an adverse effect from any of the chemicals in any of these products or anything. Some people say they have though, so be careful. Okay, it's never perfect, is it? Alright, so that side seems a bit higher than that side. So it is kind of at an angle, right? Fucked it up. It's just too hard. I've told you, like all through that process when you're putting it down, visibility is not good. Okay, so that's what it looks like up close. Lace looks more realistic. The lower the density, such as medium light density, which is quite a low, it's very low density. Yeah, I'd say, here we go. This is French lace, thick, durable, lasts longer, but less realistic, but good enough. And that's French lace, and this is Swiss lace. Some people call it Hollywood lace or some other marketing bullshit, right? But it's Swiss lace is the thinnest. Unless somebody's invented something new that I haven't heard about. It's usually just remarketing of the same thing. Swiss lace. Thin, low density. This is medium light density, so you can see right through it. This is medium density. See how you can't see through it? French lace allows for medium density to be sewn into it. Swiss lace doesn't. You can't go thicker than this because of the, I guess, sparseness of the holes or something. So just really very lightweight. This feels heavier than this. Probably double, hairs or 50% more hairs or something. Swiss lace, French lace, poly. Most realistic, second most realistic, except it lifts a bit at the front. It's just getting a bit thick there. And poly is the least realistic, but the most amount of ease of use. It's the easiest to maintain. And you can cope with the lack of realism at the front by doing what I said and bleaching these front hairs along here, all the way along the front hairline on all your hair pieces before you even put them away in the box. When you cut them out, do the bleaching so there's no wall of hair on all those hairlines. and then you get a more realistic blend between skin and hair without having to worry too much about having a wall of hair, especially if you've got pale skin and dark hair. That's like me, that's pale dark. You want some blend, otherwise it's just John Travolta. No blending, really. It doesn't look right. Looks like a doll's hair, it looks fake. Whereas this hopefully looks real, right? Now, my hair length up here, as I said, was 6 centimeters long. This is currently straight out of the box. It's 20. That's right, I can't read properly. What does it say? 17? 17 centimeters long. What's 17 divided by 2.5? 2.54 centimeters in an inch, right? So 0.5, 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 15, 17.5. So it's about 7 inches. I don't think they do 2 and 7 inches. I reckon it's probably about 6 inches long, this hair, okay? Will it hold in wind? I think straight, you know, if I went skydiving right now, I think it'd probably stay on. The length of the hair is going to lead to leverage with the wind, right? But I like to have a fringe to flow over the front of the hairline as well. It looks better for me. I've tried wearing brush back for a while, which gives you some nice glances from business women and stuff, because they kind of think that you're successful or whatever. So you could keep it long. And if you look at old-timey movies and stuff, they really do have long hair like this, even when they're brushed like this. And that's why their hair looks perfect, because it's so long. Like if they ever get into a scuffle in a movie, it actually breaks down to being this long. So maybe I shouldn't cut it. Maybe I should just leave it this long and it would just look cool when I just brush it. If I'm always going to wear product anyway, why cut it? For the sake of having a fringe at the front. But just, I don't know, maybe I don't want to cut it this time. Maybe I don't want to cut it at all. If you look at it in my other videos, every time I put a new hairpiece on, I'm cutting it. It's not hard. You just hold your hair up like that, and just get the scissors and just tap away at it, and then the hairs just come out or whatever, you cut them. But you use them, like however you use scissors. You could probably teach me how to use these things. I don't know how to do it. A lot of people seem to say it's too hard. That's hard, you've got to be a hairdresser. How is that hard? Just reach up there. Can you feel your own head? Can you reach your hand all the way up your head and do that with your hair? Step 1. Step 2, stick your forefinger and thumb into the scissor holes. Not this end, right? Lift your hair up and just chop it. But don't just chop it like a scarecrow. Go in layers. So you brush back the first layer like that. And then just go, okay, let's make that one match this length. Same length. So just cut it there. All the way along. And then do that. And then that's a bit longer. And you go whatever length you want towards the front. So, I might just keep this length for a little bit. See what happens. I've never really tried it, but I think those old-fashioned movies have just taught me something. I just watched one yesterday. It was like a 1960s movie or something. So I might just keep it long. But what about people who saw you yesterday? I don't have friends, it doesn't matter for me. Do what I want. If I was going back to work or school every day, I wouldn't just boom grow fucking 6 inches of hair overnight. I would plan it all so the new hairpiece would be the same length or just a little bit longer, imperceptibly longer. But it is a good trick if you want to brush your hair back, because people can't really tell how long your hair is when it's brushed back, right? Don't make all these big changes too obvious. If you are going from a completely bald lifestyle where everyone knows you're bald and you're boom, I'm going to have a full head of hair, I've decided that now. You can go on a holiday for 6 months and travel, go 3 months, or just go overseas, cheap holiday to Asia or something. Cheap food, like accommodation's $30 or something, I don't know. Cheaper than anywhere else. Grow a beard and start wearing reading glasses and stuff, even if you don't need a prescription. Just start wearing them, change your face, it looks so different way, it looks so tanned and much better and stuff, and you came back. So much different, wow. And wear a hat as well for a while if you want. And then slowly, gradually take off the hat, shave, take off the glasses, and then boom, you still look a little bit different from when you first left, but you look better somehow, right? They might go, have you grown a full head of hair? Are you wearing a wig or something? You go, yeah, it's a wig. Right? I wear a wig to work. Do you mind? I'm just working on this at the moment. Thanks. Sorry, I just don't mean to be rude, but I'm just really busy. And then that's it. You're in. So I don't know. It's worth it. I would say most people who wear hair, and everyone who wears hair, knows that their life is better on a good hair day. So lordhair.com. Get 6-pack of 0.03mm ultra thin skin poly hair systems. Advertised at $699. Everyone pays that much except people who use my coupon code, which I'm giving you, right? 20% off the cost. StickOnHair in the coupon code box at checkout. And of course, you've got to register to be logged in. So register. So put your email and just give it to the register button, and then it'll send you a verification email. Then you send back, yes, I confirm. If you've never used a website before, these are the difficulties involved. And then when you go there, type in your username or email address and password, then you'll be logged in. Now, if you've never used it before, you can type StickOnHair in the coupon code box and you'll get 20% off. So in that case of the 6-piece poly deal, which is already saving money from a bulk purchase because they're over a certain amount of money each, but buying 6 of them brings the price lower and lower, right? So that's 560 American dollars you'll pay with delivery included in that price. And it's express delivery as well, so it should take less than a week to get to you. In the meantime, have a little race from eBay or whatever place you decide to buy stuff like this. Get a bunch of these, get 3 of these. Start, get a couple of these. They're $4 each, about $45 each. So say if you don't have a pair of scissors and a brush and a comb, you'll probably get these. Lord had just gave me a free comb in the 6-pack. They'll probably send you one in the packaging as well. If you don't have a beard trimmer, you might want to get one of those. That's a Beardscape beard trimmer from Rio. I bought it because it's supposed to be quiet, but complicated. The button's in the wrong spot and everything. It's like a bit awkward. Got a recharging dock. It's over-engineered. This is a whole bunch of shit up here. Just move the ceramic thing, and it's like I've got it. The whole thing feels like it's gonna fall out of my hand while I'm doing that. So I'd say you get a Philips 3D sensor touch or something similar. We can just change the nozzle. And beard trimmers are quite common. Just get one. You don't have one. Razor blades. These things. Q-tips. Cotton buds. Cotton tips. Baby wipes for cleaning everything. Hot running water. A good light over a good mirror. Towel. Air conditioning if you're in a hot area. Maybe a fan next to the sink and mirror. What else you need? Piece of plastic to make the stencil, a marker to draw the stencil. Buy this stuff. This is Schwarzkopf Nordic Blonde. $15 each from eBay. So I said, be ready to spend about $1,000. So with all that stuff, I mean, you've got a year's supply there, right? Then you'll need hair. If you've been balding, you've probably got some stuff. But if you've been shaving your head, you've probably got anything. So this is the coolest stuff ever. With really long hair like I've got now, I'm thinking muck's probably too messy. I want it smooth, right? Now the lady at the hair shop, hair house warehouse, suggested this for me as something that would annihilate frizz, but not really. I don't know. I thought she was going to give me something that gave me some hold, but less hold than muck. Because muck's it separates hairs and makes it quite chunky looking, for a messed up look. This would be a smooth look, but it's got no hold whatsoever. It's just leave-in hair conditioner, which I find usually has no, she said just use a pea-sized amount. I've never found a pea-sized amount does anything more than it just absorbs into your hands immediately and there's nothing left. So fuck the hairdresser's advices, right? With hair this long, it is bound to blow out of whack. So I'm probably going to have to use hairspray, which is often a good thing because it means that you're going to be reluctant to touch your hair at all for the rest of the day, which is good. It'll maximize the life of your hairpiece and keep your hair kempt all day. In strong winds, the wind might put the hairs out of place. So I highly recommend you get some kind of styling product first. Put your hair in a position you want. Better off waiting for it to dry if you can have the time for that. And then after your hair is dry, you might need a hair dryer to get that done. Put some there. Then apply the hairspray because it'll just lock in what you've done, unless there's a high wind or something like that. Now, of the 3 billion hairs that these ladies have sewn into my hair here, this one was kind of squiggly, so I just pulled it out. Occasionally you'll find a grey. This hair every day, I expect you to have a shower. You've got to dry yourself. You've got to brush your teeth. You've got to wash your hair. There are just certain things you've got to do to make yourself appear okay in public. You're going to put on clothes. You're going to go to the toilet. Hopefully you'll make your bed. You'll clean your sheets once in a while. You'll wash your clothes in the washing machine once in a while. You'll do all these different things. It's their chores that make your life better. Women, most women, every single day are putting on makeup. They go to much more effort than people who wear hair go to. You can choose, as a balding man or woman, to shave your head all the time, wear a wig, wear a hat, try to do a comb over. But the solution is here. I mean, you could try to do a hair transplant. Maybe there are good surgeons out there who can do a really good job and just pay for it once and maybe it'll just stay there and you never think about it again perfectly. It'll be always perfect. Maybe, I don't know, maybe take drugs or something so it doesn't fall out, I don't know. But this is ready to go right now. There are a bunch of companies you can go to. I've used about 7 or 8 hair companies and I was really happy with Lord Hair's speed of delivery. That was the first thing. It was 3 days, express, included in the price, no surprises, exactly what I ordered. Great packaging, it's even increased in beautiful packaging now since when I first started ordering from them. I think they've become rich, so I think they can do better deals. I think they're growing bigger and bigger. And they don't cut corners like so many companies do. Then I was using lace for a long time, and I decided that's so hard to clean up, it's so hard, the glue is shining through, I've got to find a solution, but I've solved it. Poly's come a long way. The materials become space age, right? They're really good and they conceal everything. Now if you do get shine along here, along the front, if there's any plastic ever showing or anything, you can use this stuff, NYX Shine Killer, which you can just rub in. You probably can't see any shine, but if you can, I can in my mirror. I don't remember how much this stuff was. I think I just went to the makeup department of a large cosmetic store and I said, anything that can conceal shine? Because I was trying to cover over the shine that was coming through the lace. This didn't work so well for that. It worked a little bit, but not really, to cover the glue, because what happens is the glue melts and no amount of makeup is really going to cover over melted glue. I'll tell you what does cover it, Poly. The thin skin stuff that I'm using here. Even close up, despite the distortion of a piece, like a pinprick sized camera lens here, which is coning me out really badly to make me look much worse on camera than I do in the mirror, you can still see that the hairline's pretty good. Good enough, especially since I bleached it, so there's not really a wall so much of hair. Lace looks more realistic on day one, but then the constant maintenance is crazy. Cleaning it to try and refresh it so you can put it on after the third week when you've got to swap it and shave your head again, clean it and put it back on. It's just too much trouble. Poly solves that. So, you can wear a hat, you can be bald, you can shave your head, you can say age gracefully and all the other things, okay? But you don't need to. The solution exists. It's your choice. You can choose to be bald for a while, then wear a hairpiece, or not ever wear a hairpiece, or wear a hairpiece sometimes and be bald other times. But the thing is, you've got to grow your natural hair out enough to blend with the hairpiece, which is probably a month at least worth of hair growth, before you can get a seamless blend between hairpiece and natural hair. So now, with a full head of hair, you have to do what other people do and style your hair every day. That'll be one of your chores, like brushing your teeth and everything else. You can live a carefree lifestyle as a bald person if you want to. Nobody's stopping you. But you came here because you think you might want to not be bald. You're embarrassed, you're not heard when you speak as well as you might be if you were a little bit more endearing to the eye, maybe, I don't know. I mean, probably people treat bald people a little bit similar to how they'd treat a fat person. Unless you're successful, in which case being fat or bald probably matters less, because that trumps your appearance in a lot of ways. But every wealthy old man who's got a big fat gut and balding and is old and's got less years left in his life would almost 100% gladly trade for poverty and youth. So, having full head of hair definitely makes you look younger. And it's just, for me, it makes me feel a lot more confident. At the beginning when I was starting out, yeah, I was a bit paranoid, somebody's going to notice, oh my God. But I just got more people treating me well from the outset. Shopkeepers, strangers, everybody. So, I'm not the only one to say this. Ask anybody who wears hair what their life was before and how it is since they started wearing the hairpiece. In nearly every case, you'll find that their life has improved. And probably, I pretty much expect every single person who's wearing hairpiece properly has had a better life every day since. It doesn't cost money, it costs a bit of effort. Like I say, the effort you go to in daily teeth brushing and going to the toilet and having a shower and washing your clothes, etc. You've got to do that sort of stuff in your life forever, for the rest of your life. So this could be considered a life decision, or it could be considered a, yeah, I'll try it, but I'll keep the stock ready to go in case I run out. So buy enough. Don't just buy samples and then just try it on and then just fucking go, oh well, didn't like it. I'm gonna shave my head forever now. Because you don't know what forever is gonna be. I might want to shave my head in the future. I've got that option. But I've also got enough supplies that I can come back to this if I want to. Because every time I've shaved my head thinking, oh fuck, I can't be bothered during summertime, it's too hot and sweaty, it's a pain in the ass. I don't care what I look like, I just want to feel comfortable. The thing is, people treat you how they treat you based on how you appear to them. Man or woman, black or white, uniform, suit, homeless clothes, hygiene, dirty fingernails, hair, obesity level. Sorry, I mean, what's the word for that? There is a word. I can't remember. I knew it. I was quite impressed that I knew that word actually. Your fatness level. It's your. There's a word for fatness level. It sounds good. It's not voluptuousness. It's lost it. At any rate, I feel better with hair. I get treated better with hair. And the effort I have to go to put it on and keep it on and change it over and clean the front hairline once in a while, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. Now, I would say if you are thinking about it, just do it. Do it. Like, just shaving your head all the time, you've got one look. Look in the mirror, draw a hair on your head and go, oh my god, I look better like that if it was real. And this is real hair, right? And they've sewn it into plastic, it's all modern and clean and done perfect, so you just have to stick it on your head. Just do it well. Just stick it on your head well, and that's all you got to do. Problem solved. You can have a full head of hair. I hope you choose to do what you want.